Karori, karibu tena kwa The Tackle. Unajua umepotea sana, sijui ulikuwa umetuacha, ulikuwa umeenda wapi. Lakini karibu tena. Welcome back to The Tackle. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Habari ya weekend? Acha nianza na Meshack kutuambia weekend yako ilikuwa vipi?
Weekend ilikuwa poa. We've been waiting for this day to see the document being launched officially. Yes.
Kwanza niko na ripoti, nimekuja na ripoti kadhaa za BBI. Sijui kama Karori ampata copy. Kuna copy ziko hapo na mwana Meshack tayari kuna copy yake. Hapa leo tumetembelewa asubuhi na watu wa BBI, tumeshadungwa copies. Sijui kama Karori amesoma kwake ama hajasoma, lakini tutaomba kunaendaje. Is there anything you want to reflect on the happenings the weekend, Karori, kabla tujaanza kazi?
Now, I think, first of all, Gerald, thank you for the opportunity. Yes. Thank you for the viewers, and thank you for Meshack. We had a good weekend, the normal political weekend. I think there is nothing much to reflect because most of what ought to have been there in a normal weekend has been held back because of the release of BBI today. So I think after today, we can now interpret the weekend as one. Monday is part of the weekend because weekend is the normal political weekday for Kenya. Yeah.
So Monday these days is an extension of a weekend.
Yeah, definitely.
Very interesting. All right.
And somebody said because of the BBI in Kenya, we wouldn't notice that Arsenal lost. We will be discussing BBI the entire day.
You won't even notice that
nobody will notice that yesterday was a good weekend that Arsenal lost.
All right.
No, they have to remember that we lost because the number in the world.
Yes.
Anyway, guys, there's something also that happened over the weekend. We lost Wakili Nzamba Kithonga. Tulipoteza Wakili Nzamba Kithonga, and actually saw the way the president mourned him. And December, he was a very stalwart of the constitution. Na akasema kwamba it's sad that we've lost him at the time when you're talking about political dispensation. You want to take a minute to mourn Nzamba Kithonga. Tukirudi niwaambie nini nafikiria kuhusu pia mambo ya Nzamba Kithonga. The 1 minute starts now. All right, asante. So on the issue of Nzamba Kithonga, I want to make a comment. I saw the president through the State House page, Limon Nzamba Kithonga akasema ya kwamba he said that Nzamba Kithonga was a constitutional law stalwart and a patriotic Kenyan with admired legal prowess. He said it's a big blow, especially as we usher the BBI process. Nzamba Kithonga is the one who bathed the Constitution 2010. How he was not, for me, I don't know, but I find that in this country we celebrate people who are dead more than those who are alive. Why was Nzamba Kithonga not part of the BBI making process? I'll start with you, Meshack.
I think the
maybe you can mourn him first, then we complain.
No, we are not complaining. We are actually mourning. I think the entire country is mourning, and some of the legal minds who worked with him during the constitution making, the one we're having, were very sad because they could also confess to the country that there are points when they were differing, but the only uniting factor in that commission was Dr. Nzamba Kithonga. And so the country is at a loss, not just his family or relatives, but I think the entire country is at a loss. At this point, I think I would accept that it was a mishap for us as a country. There should have been somebody like him in that commission, especially the 14-member team. I think so. That was not good to leave someone like that out, especially if we're talking about amendments of the Constitution that he birthed.
All right. So you think the president should have included him in that committee?
Yes.
So what is it in Kenya with the culture of celebrating dead people? As in Kenya, you have to die first for you to be celebrated.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate, Gerald, that in Kenya, many people love you, even you, me, right now, many people love us very much, but we have to die first for them to show us. There is no way they are going to show us when we are still here. So if I want people to show me, I'll promise to die first. And it is not very nice. I mean, we have a way of showing people that we love them and we can do it. I think we are just not willing to do the right thing.
Yeah. So we have to wait to die first ndio anze kujua ni nani anakupenda na nani hakupendi. Karori, it's part of your fraternity. He was a senior counsel. He's your senior. I don't know what's your general feeling as you mourn him.
I think when I first heard of the tragic death of senior counsel Nzamba Kitonga, several things ran in my mind. One was the issue of the humility and the man he was. And two was the issue of the constitution he delivered to this country. He delivered one of the best documents. And up to now, I still have a lot of questions about why even not Nzamba Kitonga. There are several other bigwigs, legal bigwigs and constitutional lawyers who are within that committee who will have done a tremendous job. Why they were never included, maybe it's because of political expedience. But as to whether and why Africans mourn the death, I think it is a bad African custom, which we really need to outlive. Look at even the other day when the comedian Othwal died. Look at how hypocritical it was. It is said that the man could not raise 8,000 to hire an ambulance. But people came from all walks of life to spend nearly 3 million in his burial. That is the tragedies of life. And that is why at times you are reminded that live your best life. Any other thing on top of that, live for those who will be alive to mourn you. But again, they say the death tell no tales. May senior counsel rest in peace. I think the best way to remember him is for us to uphold the fidelity of the Constitution 2010. Yeah.
All right. Another news. It's the president's birthday. Hey. All right. It's the president's birthday. Unajua wakati wa 2017 tulisema tulikuwa tunapea rais birthday present. Kina Odede siku hiyo walikuwa wanakula tiagas. Hao ndio walikuwa wanasema no reforms, no elections. Alikuwa ameboycott. Sisi kina Karori ndio walikuwa wanapeana zawadi. Lakini haidhuru, happy birthday to the president. Tutakwambia kwamba tunapenda happy birthday to you. Your Excellency, you want to wish you a very happy birthday, and we hope that God gives you the wisdom to continue leading this country. I don't know if the wisdom is there now, but I'm saying may God continue to give you wisdom so that you can lead this country to a better place. Odede,
yes.
What's your birthday message to the president?
Happy birthday, Mr. President.
In 2017, you're not
on our side. You were forced on us, but we accepted you. We are moving on. So happy birthday once again. May you live long, and if they say tano tena, we will still accept.
Mjitolea mnataka tano nyingine.
No, for
ya nasa sasa.
No, if he is forced again on us, we will accept again.
Who forced him?
You people.
Answer.
Akina Karori.
Karori, what's your birthday message to the president?
I think I take this opportunity to wish the scion of the burning spear a happy birthday, and I think my message to him remains simple and remains what I will have wished to be his lasting legacy, to leave a united and a cohesive nation. And if that doesn't happen, let him implement Constitution 2010. It is not nothing huge. Let him implement Constitution 2010, and he will go home a happy man.
All right. As you're setting up, Lucia ili akuja tuambie pia happy birthday message ya ndugu yake rais. Unajua last week alimpiga tako lingine noma sana ya undercut. Sasa nasubiri akuja tuambie happy birthday message ya rais ni gani. Pia mwana tako kama uko pale unataka kutoa ujumbe kwa rais, if you want to wish president happy birthday, utuambie ni ujumbe gani ambayo uko nayo kwa president, which message do you have for the president, which message do you have for the president on his birthday, unataka kumwambia vipi na unataka kumtakia birthday ambayo inakaa vipi. All right, asante sana. Thank you so much. Tell us, we'll read out your happy birthday messages to the president. But happy birthday, mtukufu rais. Nasema ya kwamba tunakupenda, na jamaa anasema sauti tena imepotea kwa Mombe. Ni kama sietani ameamua kuja siku ya leo. Lakini wacha tuende kwa magazeti, tukirudi wacha niwapige shout out kidogo alafu tukimbie kwa magazeti. Tujue inakwaje. Kipkoech Cheria naona amepeana namba pale. Aje anasema lost kwa Mombe again. Take you Iduri anasema sauti iko. Agri X Momanya anasema sound gone. Mary Peter anasema no sauti. Lost man some let there be sound in Jesus name imefika. Naona station kama sauti imeenda. Watu wa Saudi naona ilikuwa ya kitambo hiyo, lakini wacha nione Elia Stone some streaming live from Jerusalem was in Kishwa. Sanda Johnson Kipkering na kuona Max Kimeli na kuona Memo na kuona Sagong Kiblaka na kuona James Maina na kuona Kipkorir Fred Kipkorir Tanui na kuona Obadia Tanui anasema Karori anakula bolgam akiomba in live from Kapsabet. Amesha tupa. Msikali ya chairman wa Menokwisha Kettle Tip anasema imeenda imerudi. Makwa naina bwana, makwa naina ulikuwa umeenda wapi? Sina Citizen karibu sana. Naona umeamusha Bele Mondi wa Shira Wanjiru Mui Ngumi Kidhiri wa Kibe wa Mutui anasema amkeni. Agriox Mawanya anasema final ilikuwa ni leo, shetani amekataa tusiombe pamoja, ashindwe kabisa. John Kirui anasema nyoka imemeza maombi ya Karori. Nyoka ya baba wa nyoka ipi? Alright, Kiblaka Tkoeja anasema sauti imeenda tena. Hao watu mna support BBI, wacha kukanyaga waya ya the tackle. Wale mko nyuma mnanisikia? Naona Ngumi Kidhiri anasema mako naenda niko na Sante. Patrick Mguri anasema logged in from West. Thank you. Just as welcome Karori. MC Kana anasema Jesus. Eva Kipkema anasema si hata wish Baba Jade na birthday day. Tayari tumepiga Baba Jade na birthday day yake. Emmanuel Kuna anasema you should read your lips. Tutaleta pia mtu wa sign language. Max anasema GB ni Kitonga sio Kitonga. Ni Kitonga. It's okay. Since umeniambia ni Kitonga wa G, I want to tell you so ni Kitonga wa K. Replying anasema Batopa not Kitonga not Kitonga. Hey, unaona tena wewe umepigwa correction. Obedita in the morning too sir, kwa nini Karori anakula bolga ameacha. Nicolas anasema yawa. George anasema sound tena imepotea imerudi. Karori ongeza mafuta uko low sana. Nimemuongeza mafuta. Ni mimi ndio kama diesel ilikuwa imeenda chini kidogo. Patrick Muyandi anasema good morning GB and the tacklers. We want a great legal mind. Zamba is a very consistent in his approach to issues. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Mosi mchama anasema sauti iko. Someone dim Sandeva Chepkima anasema Karori naona una ring Karori anasema una ring, we need to investigate. Naona kuna tayari watu wanataka kukuletea BBI. They want to build bridges towards you. But he anasema the Ansek brothers happy birthday Mr. President, were not interested in the truth but in political expediency. Agnes Mine anasema you have so many good things to tell about you, but you must die first for us to tell those things. That have been Zamba Kitonga. As a conclusion, happy birthday, Mr. President. Besho, alas, it was we had a government with a PM, two deputy PMs, 40 ministers, and 52 assistant ministers. That achieved the most in Kenya's history. Tell wage bill to the birds. Give us minimum 35% of devolution protected by the Constitution. Do whatever you want with the rest. 8 years of Uhuru has taught us enough lessons. What we have for sure for the 85% that remained in the national government and 6 trillion borrowed. That is Monge David. Emmanuel Kipsang sema mnaomba alafu bila sauti mwisho mnasema amen. Imefika kwa Mungu. Unajua sasa tuambibi na tunaambia Mungu. Bora imeshafika pale juu. That's okay. Mash Kago anasema yuko Kosgea Rapche mwenye anasema good morning Gerald and team. Tako say I to my senator Karori Oliver Kipchumba. Tayari ushapigwa title ya mheshimiwa. William Mwangi anasema I think the president and former prime minister did the worst mistake not wrong those who came up with the current constitution, because at least they have seen it work, they have known the key areas they can change. Anasema leo tunafunga EABL. Okay. So Dana Riktumbi anasema in front of Juja. Ila Kipchumba nakuona, Perisi Roti nakuona, Michael Keter, I'm seeing you. Aisa Gede anasema USA Minnesota nakuona, David Kamau anasema young and vibrant Karori, I love you so much. Joy was the birthday to our president, happy birthday Rais, we decided 2013-2017 United Jubilee government that we voted in. Enjoy. Julius Wera anasema morning nakuona, Beda Chirchir anasema from Kuriswa nakuona. Simeon Munera na kuona Beth Collins na kuona Silas Song na kuona Kip anasema JB invite me, sawa nitakualika. Bernard Rotin na kuona Dennis Kirui anasema good morning watching live from Westlands. Watu wa USA Minnesota, unajua huko ndio nasikia ukisema Marekani wanaita Minnesota. Alright, asante sana. Tuangalie magazeti haraka haraka. Shoutouts naona ni kibao, lakini nikirudi tunajua kama tapata wakati. Gazeti ya The Standard headline anasema inside free pull out on all you need to know about BBI. Uhuru dares DP to walk the talk. Jana niliona Uhuru pale Nyeri amesema president slam his deputy president, anasema president slams his deputy for making promises to Kenyans when he is part of the government and not helping deliver Jubilee's agenda. Naona pia pale Ruya Mkuta amesema Ruto to face his demons in BBI. I don't know, sijui mademon ni kina nani hawa. Alright, naona I can also see pale pia pale jinasema I'm in the race. Uhuru succession. ODM leader Raila Odinga declares for the first time that he's not quitting elective politics. Tells supporters of his family in the contest to complete the country's third and final liberation in 2022. Naona pia hapo kuna mambo ya Nzamba Kithonga anasema the man who gave Kenya a constitution. Huyo ametuacha. Right, naona gazeti ya pia Daily, The People Daily. Hapo juu inasema ISTEX 6,000 gather for BBI launch. ISTEX 6,000 gather for BBI launch. Pia pale kuna sema schools won't reopen soon. Hey, makoa. Amesema tena mashule bwana haziwezi funguliwa. Hey, rising COVID-19 infections put a damper on plans to recall other classes. Counties faces ICU beds crisis with rises in COVID cases. By the way, nasikia corona kusambaa Eldoret pale ni kunoma. Regional units overrun by new coronavirus infection as reading numbers at the all-time high. For the first time tumepiga 900. Kuna pia hapa Newsbeat page 2 inasema Waiguru reads the riot act to county staff. Ni kama Waiguru is back na ananyorosha watu huko Kirinyaga. Sijui tena kama MCAs watalala pale ndani waanze kuleta shida. Naona hapo inasema preparations underway at the Bomas of Kenya yesterday ahead of today's BBI report launched by President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga. New part President Uhuru and opposition leader Raila to preside over official launch of a report at Bomas today, as Deputy President Ruto says efforts to change the law will fail if the objective is to create new positions. All right, kuna mambo pale kwa magazeti. Naona the Daily, I'm trying to say the Daily Nation. The Daily Nation inasemaje? Inasema new power post in BBI structure. Mambo hayo ya maviti pale juu, lakini acha tuanze kwanza kabla tujaingia kwa siasa, mambo ya shule. Karori, waziri wa masomo ama waziri wa elimu anasema kwamba shule hazifunguliwi tena after telling us last week that schools were going to reopen.
I think at a personal level, I lost faith in the good doctor at a personal level, because he's been speaking from both ends of his mouth, and it is a tragedy that we have left our education. It's a stand into a gambling business, because you are never sure what happens next in the education sector. We don't know what informs Magoha's decisions. All we know is that we hear him in the media say one, and then tomorrow he comes, he says the other. So up to now, you are only sure that schools have been reopened when you see school-going kids in uniform. Before that, this other one, he is treating the ministry like a true politician. It is just one word after the other. I don't understand what's happening. Yeah.
So according to you, do you think schools should reopen?
No. With what is happening in France currently, Gerald, I think whereas education is a right guaranteed, but right to life has superior ranking to the right to education. And with the second wave of COVID coming back, I think let us first of all see how well we will handle the 3 classes that are currently on before we go full swing, because the danger is you don't want to risk opening the schools to the brim and tomorrow you overstretch our minimal health sector infrastructure. Because if currently I'm told Uasin Gishu has a problem, what if tomorrow we reopen a school and there is a COVID hits, let's say in a county, by just bad luck, it hits, let's say 5 schools, which has a population in total of 10,000 students. Where do we go as a nation? So I think we really need to exercise caution, let science lead the way. Let it not be just the arrogance of Magoha or his hard stance on everything that will lead the way. All of us would like schools to reopen. All of us would like to see progress. But if it is at the expense of the life of the learners, my take will be, let it wait.
Mashule subiri. Yeah. But you've lost faith in the Minister of Education. That's what you're saying. All right. Bado una imani Meshack Odede? Umeona imani ama imani hakuna?
I think there's just one problem. Magoha is a good guy. There's only one problem. Probably he doesn't listen to advices. That's the only problem.
That disqualifies your first aspect of him being a good man.
No, there are good people who they just have one mistake. Does not mean entirely they are bad. There are places where they are good. So that's why I'm saying generally Magoha is a good guy, very learned, and probably has a way he can help. But on listening, I doubt if he listens to advices. Because many times we've seen since he stepped in the Ministry of Education, he differs with the key stakeholders on almost everything. The parents, the NAT, the whatever, all of them, most of the time he has differed with them. And those are the people who would give advisory opinions on how best to run education sector. We are not saying he shouldn't take some stands, but after thoroughly considering the key stakeholders in the sector, it would be good to also be a little bit soft and negotiate things. But I don't think Magoha is that kind of a guy who wants to negotiate anything. He wants to take a stand, and that's it. So as to whether kids should be back in school or not, it's a very tricky balance for me from where I stand, because again, I'm sure children from the upmarket knows what COVID-19 is, and they can tell you with details. But kids from the Eastlands and other places like that are playing all over and do not know there is COVID. All they know is they are not going to school. That's all they know. But in the morning they wake up and they do everything usual.
That I've been doing.
I mean, they play in the estates, do everything usual. Only this other side of the town is where every kid, including the 1-year-old, is telling you there is COVID-19. I mean, yeah, don't touch me.
Anasema hatujaona ule mtu wa corona. Nasikia alikuwa ameanza kuita nani? Unataka kwa mtu wa corona.
Yes. But when you cross to the other side of town and maybe many parts of the rural country, you'll realize the kids only know one thing is happening around this time. No schools. Yeah.
That's the only thing they understand.
That's the only thing.
Lucy.
Thing that you can do for us today is to resign. But we know you will not.
Unataka ndugu yako resign alafu kutaendaje?
Gerald, I think at this point I can make a better president compared to him. I'm very convinced. Nimechoka, like sikia tu ile vile tu nimechoka tu. Umesikia? Hivyo ndio nimechoka.
Pole sana. Alright. So tuambie mambo ya shule ya Magoha. What are your thoughts? Kwanza unajua rafiki yako Nzamba Kitonga ametuacha, tulikuwa tunapanga akuje Tetakol. You actually planning akuje Tetakol na tayari ametuacha. But anyway, Mungu ni mwema. So I want to give you an opportunity first of all to mourn Nzamba Kitonga. And I was actually wondering why he was not part of the BBI process.
I also don't know why he was not part of the BBI process. We've lost a great mind. We've lost a great source of knowledge and information. It's a sad time for us as a country. My condolences to his family. I pray that God gives them peace and comfort that surpasses human understanding. And it's sad that we didn't get a chance to tap into the wealth of knowledge that Senior Counsel Kitonga had before he left. But they say God picks the best for himself. So yeah. We've lost a great man, but heaven has gained an angel. So it's not a loss at all.
And by the way, don't you think that statement is for consolation reasons?
Yes, it is. It is. It is. But
because also bad people die. Who picks them?
But then you see, Gerald, even the bad people are children of God. Just because they're bad people doesn't make them lesser children of God. They're children of God. So punishment ni uko kwa baba. He ndo ata decide ni punishment gani. But for us who are still here, we believe that God loves all his children equally. So hata kama mtoto wake alikuwa mbaya bado ni mtoto wake. Haven't you seen kids that are thieves, thugs, but the mother protects them with their life, you know, anajua ndio mtoto wangu ni mbaya, but you cannot say anything negative about that child. She'll kill you because that's her child. Yeah, so I think it works the same with God. Yeah.
Sisi wote ni watoto wa Bwana.
Si wote ni watoto.
Right. Hallelujah. Kuna poll pia inaendelea pale ya shule. Tunasema kwamba kama unataka kufungua shule ama shule ziendelee kuweka kufuli na ziongezewe kufuli nyingine kubwa. Naona wengi wenu wameanza kusema hapana, at 3%, 17% wanasema ni wanataka shule zifunguliwe against 3%. You can vote in, utuambie shule mnataka zifunguliwe ama ziendelee kufungwa. Karori, jana Mdosi amelima naibu wake pale Nyeri. Amesema anatoa ahadi ambazo haziwezi kuzitimiza ndio uko kwenye kiti. What are your comments?
Gerald, first of all, at times I struggle to understand the leadership philosophy in this country. Because it is absurd, it is just not clean. Because the president and the deputy president, in a normal day, when everybody is speaking their language, they ought to speak from the same book. But when it gets to a point where the two cannot speak to each other, I think I am left with no other recourse than to follow what Lucy has talked about, the two of them hitting the road and resigning. Because if the president can say so, I do understand the Kikuyu language, but I am not good at it. Uhuru Kenyatta's Kikuyu diction is a bit heavy, so I couldn't tell what he was saying, but I could hear what he was saying. But it means that the country's political health is not in a good position. That is what we must pick from it. Secondly, it means that this government is disjointed, and a disjointed government does not harm the two. It harms us as a people. It affects service delivery. It affects other things. It even affects the harming together of a nation. So we really need to ask ourselves at this juncture, do we need some of these things? The other thing is this. At times I get a bit jittery when I see Uhuru Kenyatta acting like a candidate for another election. When he comes out and wants to still bring back his political mojo, he is a politician who I can say is staring at his expiry date. The rest do not know when they will expire. They still have a go at it. But when he comes up, starts want to launch projects, want to be seen here, to be seen there, it is not a bad thing. But there is a communication that is not communicating. If you have studied political science, you will know that there is something that is not adding up. And I think the two, as the late Otieno Kajwang said, you can easily divorce your wife, but divorcing your deputy needs some extra energy. So the two have two options. One, if they can't live together harmoniously, they must bear each other for the country to move forward. Two, which is the easiest option, and they can pass here our good, is to resign if they can't. Because we cannot have a country where the president is lamenting against the deputy is lamenting against the president. We are not making progress. And why so? We don't know where it is between the two to tell us what happened to their romance. So let us not inconvenience Kenyans because of their own political disagreements.
All right. Do you think he's right by his claims or his comments?
Which claims?
That the deputy president is making promises that he cannot fulfill while he's in government.
I think the government belongs to Uhuru Kenyatta. He's the head of state.
My question at this point will be, what is government's agenda? In him saying that the deputy president has neglected his drive for the government's agenda, at this point, what is government's agenda? Because the Big Four agenda is no longer government's agenda. So the president first needs to tell us what government agenda is before he can start complaining against his deputy.
So he should define the government agenda first.
Yes.
You can't seem to see the government agenda.
Who knows what the government agenda is?
Gerald daily. Tomorrow you wake up, the government agenda is Huduma number. The next day it is Big Four. The other day it is BBI.
Express highway.
Yeah, it is express highway. Tomorrow we are talking about something in Manyani. So at times we get lost in all these shenanigans. So we really need to be told what is the agenda. You know the danger is this, Gerald. With President Kibaki, all of us knew that our agenda was Vision 2030. And everything was done towards Vision 2030. But currently, you are never sure where we are. Everything is done towards everything. And actually, everything is done towards anything. We don't know surely where what will be the government priority in the next year. You might wake up one day and you are told this government has a priority in feeding pigs. What will you do? That is the danger.
So you feel the deputy president has been put out of touch with the government. All right. Odede muti ya baba.
Yes.
Unaona je, unaona kwanza baba amesema anarudi hapa anachoka, yeye si mzee bado. Can you comment on the president's issues against his deputy in Nyeri?
I think there is one thing we are forgetting here. There must be something that happened. It is not like Uhuru woke up one morning itching to fight with his deputy. Something was happening. At the time we were seeing the bromance, there was some lie somewhere. So that lie has finally come out. There was no unity, there was no purpose. There was a lot of lie for Kenyans to see that, oh, these guys are really united,
friends,
working
buddies.
together, they are buddies. So the time has come for that lie to come out. I don't think the president would just wake up and feeling like, today I'm feeling like I'm itchy, I must betray my deputy. No, something was happening for a long time, and Kenyans were being fooled for a long time. And now time has caught up with everyone. So the truth has to come out. You know, it's like pregnancy. You can't be half pregnant. It's either you are pregnant or you are not. You can't say like, it's either maybe I am or not. It's either you are or not. So it is also obvious that in the first term, president wanting so much to have the second term, which is something usual in Africa. President would do anything and would sacrifice anything to get a second term, because you don't want to be the only president who did one term and then was thrown out. So because of that, they take anything, including the things they don't like. So I'm sure first time Uhuru was just taking some things, and there could also be a lot of manipulations and even blackmails, because in Kenya the politics is on personalities. So today I'm with Bitok, tomorrow I can be with Lucia. So there is nothing that stops me from leaving Lucia again going to Bitok. So for Lucia to maintain me, I have to get everything I want from her. Otherwise I can go back to Bitok, who was my buddy before. So that kind of blackmail, I think President had put up with a lot, and he stepped back. So the first term, to me, in my own analysis, Uhuru went missing, Ruto worked, and then Uhuru decided to come during the second term to make Ruto his deputy. But Ruto had already been president. So nobody moves from Cinderella back to, from princess back to Cinderella. People move from Cinderella to princess.
So on that note, what makes you think now Uhuru is genuine with this brother Raila Odinga?
He might not be genuine. The only genuine thing I know he has, he decided to be president now. And they want to make Ruto his deputy.
So you can say on the same thing now. Let's reflect on what happened last week. Former ABC Commissioner Roslyn Akombe alisema ya kwamba the president and this deputy are working, and they are saying that they're actually playing mind games on Uhuru Kenyatta and every other person around him. What do you make of that, Karori? If I switch it back to Odede to tell us, and Lucy as well. What are your thoughts on that?
I think what people must understand, Gerald, about the Kenyan politics, and assuming all of us who are in this room and the viewers of the show have been around since 2002, will realize that the only currency in politics is betrayal. And the only currency in politics is loyalty. That is why somebody could say that we are cows to Baba. That is the epitome of demonstrating loyalty. Whether it is absurd or not, it is part of throwing yourself under the cliff. But as to the issue of the deputy president and the president and working together, politics has to be understood as every time politicians meet, don't cheat yourself that your interests are there as Kenyans. Know that that is the convergence of their interests. So anytime we sit as Kenyans and say Gerald Bitok, the politician, and Lucia are meeting, we are happy people. Maybe the Luo and the Kalenjin communities together. It far from it. Politicians meet for interest. It was in the interest of Uhuru Kenyatta to keep William Ruto to win the election in 2017. But now maybe he has realized that his interest is in other things. Which he can only get elsewhere. And I don't know if he's succeeding or not in that journey. It is an issue that we will judge him in the next 18 months as he will be bidding us farewell. So even this BBI, as we discuss it, don't sit back and think that there is anything for the normal Mwananchi in the villages in the BBI. This is a political document, and it's more 80% of it deals with politics. We go back to the adage of Kwame Nkrumah. He said, seek ye the political kingdom
First.
and then other things will follow. So Kenyan politicians are taking from Kwame Nkrumah. Whether it inconveniences Kenyans, whether it inconveniences Kenyans or not, they are there for their first. They want to get the political kingdom. Whether you will die with COVID in between, when you
watabaki wataendelea na siasa yenye tabaki. Actually quoting as I told to you, Lucia, quoting your friend kwamba amesema MILDEC, that is military deception, is what the Uruta duo adopted to deflect public rage away from their failed presidency. They knew you were about to revolt, so they created a fog of war, BBI and Tangatanga, to disorient you as they consolidate their advantage. It's psychological operations at work, that is Nduko. And that is, Roslyn Kombe said, on point, they are banking on Vita via Pansi, Fraya Kunguru. A fight among locusts is a feast for the crow. BBI report and Asla Nation are narratives created from the same deep state factory, all to maintain the core economic interest of the billionaires and securocrats who run the country. Plutocracy. Wako pamoja, they are together. She said that is all. What are your thoughts on this?
I actually agree with her. I've always said I don't think kuna shida between Uhuru na the deputy president. Jubilee government is a failed government. He promised that Ruto will take over after him. But then no one has faith in the Jubilee government. So what do? Let's pretend to mekosana so that you can distance yourself from this failure and get the sympathy vote from the people and then get the presidency maybe. You know, it's all mind games, Bana. They're all products of the same system. They're all beneficiaries of the same system. There is no way one will want to fight a system that he has benefited from. It's a lie. Water ni apples in one basket, and it's not one apple in that basket that is rotten, it's the entire basket that is rotten. The political elite in this country wote wana belong somewhere similar. Akuna dynasty, akuna hustler. They are all politicians. They lie the same, they walk the same, they sleep the same, they talk the same. They are all the same. Hata kwa alizaliwa na kobla na mwingine alizaliwa na mtu alikuwa anauza diamonds. They are all the same. So wanaitwa wanasiasa.
So who is being fooled in the whole scheme? Who is the fool in the scheme? Is it the Mwananchi or is the political class?
It is us being fooled, Gerald, because politicians never want a populace that is woke. Because once we are woke and organized, they can no longer lie to us as they steal their money. Awata kuja kutudanganya na fake promises kwa campaigns. So they want to confuse us so that they can continue keeping us in a subdued place where then they can continue oppressing us.
All right, Odede, what makes you think Baba now will be the condo in the whole thing? As in, yeye atakuwa mweupe kama pamba, hawezi petreiwa na Uhuru, Ru is not being played. Do you feel Uhuru and William Ruto are working together to disorient kina Baba?
That one I still don't have evidence, but as to whether Baba is being betrayed, I think Baba is used to betrayals. It has been,
He has accepted.
I mean, it has been there for long. I mean, betrayals here and there has happened. I mean, it's not a new thing to Baba. And
If
perhaps
betrayal
it's
was a person,
He has
it's-
developed immunity.
perhaps it's not even a new thing to us who supports him. We know ikifika hapo, we will go out. But while we are still enjoying, we are enjoying. I mean,
You are living for the moment.
no, there is no reason to be sad because just the other day, the president was very happy telling us, sisi tutaendelea kukula nyama, nyinyi
Kimeza
mkimeza mate. So if it is time for us to enjoy, why would somebody want us now to be sad?
To worry about
And
betrayal.
when they were happy, we were sad. They were not sad with us. So I think Akina Karori should just let us enjoy this moment,
But
even if
why?
it is only 20 minutes.
I think two things. I think there is something I've never understood really. Why we describe from the Kukula Nyama diction, why we always describe this country as something to be eaten. It
Of
is
course it is being eaten.
It is something I've always thought about and wondered, why must we describe Kenya in an edible manner? Is it that we have allowed people to eat this country the way they want? And secondly, there is something that we must reflect as young people. The issue that we can sit and be happy about political conmanship if we are fighting economic conmanship through EACC. And the reason why the issue of having a pre-election pact and a post-election pact came, it came so that we end the conmanship and betrayals. Because when you read the reports, the Kriegler report and these other reports, they address themselves to the issues of the long-term, the long-standing betrayal of Kenyans. And that, the fact that we have the ORPP, Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, was supposed to try and bring that to an end. So that if today Gerald and Meshack agree to form a coalition, you do so with the knowledge knowing that this gentleman tomorrow will not pull a Kibaki, the one Kibaki pulled on Raila. That was what was supposed to be done. And even as we discuss BBI, we must ask ourselves a question. Are we really going to end political conmanship? Because there are two types of conmanship here. The political class come and con Kenyans. You say, you know in your mind as a politician, you will never deliver a bridge. But you come and tell people, I will do A, B, C, D. I think from a personal point of view, we need to sanitize our politics down, up, or bottom up, in the extent that if a politician promises true things, he must be held accountable to the promises, so that you do not promise to come and build schools, and when you get there, you start doing other things. That is the first level of conmanship. Two is the conmanship where politicians con each other, and they have used the communities as the insurance or as the collateral damage. You come, you go to the political bank, you take a certain tribe X with you there, you are conned there. All those conmanship, at the end of the day, they reflect on the growth of a nation. They reflect on how we move as a people. And that is why, for the longest time, we have remained within the tribal enclaves. Because politicians have known what is the easiest way to get, where is the easiest way to buy people. You can't buy them through class. This is the first time we are seeing a class kind of a political arrangement, where we are seeing the rich and the poor, hustlers and the others. But what we must address as a nation is this political deceit and the issue of political conmanship, because as the nation moves forward, this is where you cannot also devalue political seats, because if we continue this way, people feel we own the seat because Gerald has it. That way we are adding premium to politics, and I think it's something we need moving forward. We need to look at it and think about it as a nation, have a discussion around it, and move forward as a people.
Gerald, I think this is the point where Akina Lucia should now help us educate the masses instead of demanding some other things that they know are not going to happen soon, like Uhuru to resign, Ruto to resign. I think they should just go on and educate the masses for the next election.
You're telling them not to be ambitious.
I mean,
I know, right?
Okay, too much ambition breaks a man, even though a little of it takes a man nowhere. So there is a balance we need. What the reason why I'm saying this, even as Karori talks about political conmanship and all the rest, these terms are easy to use, but it's happening right at the doorstep. What is more corny than somebody, for example, like Honorable Susan Kihika, standing on a podium next to William Ruto, calling Raila Odinga dynasty? I mean, who does not know Kihika is supposed to, where Kihika is supposed to be? So what is so corny than that? And the people believe her, that Susan is one of us. A very serious hustler.
Are you a dynasty?
A very serious
She's a
hustler.
hustler in spirit.
They have said hustling actually is a
we are
philosophy.
getting-
They have said hustling is a philosophy. It's not a state.
not a state.
They have said it's a philosophy.
Then dynasty will also be a philosophy, not a trend.
Let me help Meshack with something. When you talk about who a hustler is, the hustler is not per se where you are born or what you do. It is how you do your things in life.
That is how
There are people-
Oliver the advocate understands it.
No, there are people in this country who have always acted and believed to be part of the political elite.
Yes.
Notwithstanding that they live in Kawangware,
Yeah.
but they stand and soldier with the political elite. Those are not hustlers. They are dynasties in the mindset. It is not in the mind.
Oliver, this is something you're not going to run away with.
No.
The hustler we know in Kenya is these guys who have stayed in the political leadership for long. That is the understanding.
Let me tell you, for
mean,
exactly 28, between 26 and 38 years in politics.
Those are dynasties.
And actually, Lucy has even commented the same thing. Yesterday, Uhuru Kenyatta was in Nyeri. And there seems like the people who went with him were welcoming him more than the people who are on the ground.
Who are on the
Do you
ground.
think the president is losing ground in central Kenya? Do you think there's an apathy in central Kenya?
I know the president has lost ground in central Kenya, actually in the entire Kenya. I don't think he has any
Not
ground.
in Kisumu. Not in entire Kenya. He has...
In Kisumu, he has a ground. He even has a wife.
Let me argue with Meshack. Meshack is that type of man. Kuna vitu umesema hapa ndugu yangu. Meshack is that type of man who will go and cheat on the wife. And then when the elders are called, he will be like, no, I did not just wake up and start cheating on my wife. She has to sit down and ask herself where she went wrong that forced me to go and cheat. Unaona hiyo kuplace blame. Na the other thing umesema again, ati too much ambition breaks a man. Okay, fine. Maybe it breaks a man. But trust me, too much ambition motivates a woman. And I am a woman. So your philosophy yako pia I'm doing.
Ni ya wanaume.
No, I'm just saying it is not the entire country. The president
Tomorrow, let me tell you something. Tomorrow, if the president
Interesting times to be
decides
alive,
to
huh?
kiss and make up with this DP and
Yes.
he sidelines Raila, hapo ndio tutajua hana hata ground Kisumu. He does not even a speck of dust in Kisumu. He does not.
Lucia,
we know how our brothers from the lake behave, Meshack. We know.
No, we are
know
not.
people.
We are not corny. Let me tell you the truth. The people from Luo Nyanza are not operating in the middle every time. It's either they are in or they are all out. So right now they are all in. If that time comes and they differ, they will all go out.
You see, loyalty, that is the problem here. We do not have people in this country. Okay, we have people in this country who are loyal. We do not have loyalty in our politics.
Yes.
Tunaruka. We have prostitution politics in this country. And that is why we are always circulating in the same circles. Tunazungukia tu hapo, hakuna mahali tunatoka. And then we are doing the same things over and over and over, and these things keep failing, but we keep on doing them expecting different results. We are mad. We are a mad nation.
Yes.
We
I
are
agree.
It's crazy, and it doesn't make sense. Right now, government is in opposition and opposition is in government. What kind of confusion is that?
That is a test of BBI. Anyway, Odede,
Yes.
can you tell us, what do you think president is losing ground from his constituency?
I think, let me be brutally honest with you here. The president does not have the common man in Central or Mount Kenya region. And the president has the middle class going to upper. That's because the middle class going to the upper class knows their reason, because they were fighting over economic issues during the first term of government. And probably this is tenders and all the rest. They were in government, they fought over this, and probably the deputy president took much, and so they parted ways. But the common man down do not understand there was something like that going on. So over the period of time, DP has been going to Central, showering them with blessings here and there. So they know the man who cares about us is the DP. The problem is whether that one will translate to anything, because, again, we know how these things work. Sometimes you control a bull by the head. Once you have the rope there, the tail cannot go anywhere. I mean, you will take the bull where you want him to go. But the honest truth is, down there, the president has lost to his deputy quite a large number of
Kimomana, Karori.
I think what you have to look at it, you have to ask yourself, Gerald, what did Kibaki do right that Uhuru is not doing? What did the people who came before Uhuru, how did they do it that they maintained some semblance of the ground? And you have to realize that this is the government that has, I will call in Kiswahili, imevuruga the Kikuyu poor in a huge way. When you see the people in Ruai,
yes,
those people who have been displaced, you know where they come from. When you see the people Bomoa, that green thing used to go to, you know where they have come from. And then again, ask yourself, who are the people who are in Grogon? Who are the people who are in River Road? When that task force on counterfeits came, who are the people in that business? That is where the issue of support comes from. Look again at the issue of coffee and tea. All the cartels in KTDA, every day there is a new sword in the shade. They are continuously fighting. And that affects the economic well-being of the person in Central. And this is a population of people who are not used to the Java president. They are used to the president who gets down to the things. And that is the problem. And I'll attribute some of the problems the president is facing there to the issue that the ministers from that part of the world previously used to be politicians, as they were elsewhere. The issue that you get somebody from Runda who has lived in Runda 25 years of his life, or since he first came to University of Nairobi, they do not know what is happening in the village in Maragua. So when they are making policies here, they make policies for people who live up to Whiskey River coming to the CBD. They do not understand that there is a whole population of people who live in Maragua past the other places. So that is why there is a problem. And two, there is too much of lyrical psychopaths within the president's court coming from the region. They don't tell him the truth. When they want to tell him the truth about the region, they sponsor a headline, a newspaper headline. That is where the problem is. So, mambo kwa ground inakuwa ngumu. That is how I'll sum up the Uhuru problem. Because, as a finality, the people who used to sell us these phone covers, they were our brothers from Central. And when they banned counterfeits, I don't know how a counterfeit phone cover affects me. That is how they close shop. Go today to Luguli. You realize that, or the tea room area, you realize that the once very bubbly place is no longer active. Because when there was a crackdown on all manner of things, and when their goods were banned somewhere along a place in Machakos, that is where the problems began. These are people who do not farm. You know, I come from a farming region. Our things just depend on rain, not on political goodwill. We only differ with politicians when it comes to selling our maize and wheat. But in terms of growing them, it is a God-given right.
Yes.
If there is no sun or there is no rain, that is when it happens. But the issue that the crackdown in those small-scale businesses really affected them. And that, I will say, is the beginning of the problem. So there is a feeling that he has lost.
He has betrayed their interest.
Yes.
Cyril, let me tell you what the difference between Kibaki's presidency and Uhuru is. Kibaki's presidency judged the policies by results, not by intention. Ruto and Uhuru's presidency were judging policies by intention. I mean, intention could be so good. I mean, that is why it was all flowery from 2013. We are going to bring laptops, everything is going to be digital, what, all that. Galana Kulalu will produce this, we will grow this economy by a double digit, sijui, all that. Those were intentions, and they could be meaning very well. But now, if you judge policy by intention, I mean, you will get all flowery things, but might not translate to anything at the end of the day. Kibaki's government was judging policies by results. What is exact result with this if we go ahead with it? And that is why we ended here. Let me show you in diagrams. Right now, the Hustler Nation, for example, is really meaning well and have intentions to empower that young person hustling in the market, Mama Mboga and Boda Boda and all the rest. The intention is clear and very well. The truth is, it's not going to yield much, simply because during their first term in government as president and his deputy, they did not understand that the economy of that Mwananchi down there we are looking at with a pity depends on the middle class. So this is the period we lost all the companies employing middle class in the country. This is where the people like Barclays wanted to move out of the market. All the supermarkets that we grew up knowing are the giants. Those are the places which employed the middle class. And this middle class is the person who has a car and making a house somewhere, construction, and doing all this. This is the person who employs the vijana wa boda boda, and they employ the mkokoteni guys. And wale wanachukua mkokoteni wakichukua nazo takataka.
Tutakuja kwa mkokoteni.
Yeah, so I'm not demonizing mkokoteni. What I'm trying to say is, if we look at the policy on that angle, we will get it right with mwananchi wa chini. But now what we are having, we are going to end up with maybe 30 car wash machines in an estate where all middle class guys feel like, I don't have that luxury of taking my car to the car wash. We can actually do a pipe na nioshe hii gari hapa, because I have been retrenched. We have lost our jobs. The wife who is supposed to go to those salons is feeling like, I should just go to Kinyozi and trim my hair very well. We are not in a luxurious time. All the middle class who are supposed to give employment to those mkokotenis and wheelbarrows and mama mbogas are stuck. So what are they going to sell those things to?
Alright. Wacha nisome comments tukirudi tuingie kwa maswali mbili alafu tuingie mambo ya BBI. Naona Adrian Afuna anasema fluid government agenda. Kuna jamaa alikuwa anasema hapa BBI is the government agenda. Sarkon Kiblaga anasema Uhuru ni serikali. Mambo ya project Uhuru hajui. Uhuru is a puppet and they are spinning him in out sufuria ya uji by Dipset. He's simply out of touch with the government and the people. Patrick Miana anasema the president is very hypocritical. If he cannot sit the DP down and sort out the differences, how is he going to unite Kenyans? He has no idea how they live a day after another. Hiyo ni swali ameuliza. Tukiko Ochieng anasema chasing a mirage, anasema rais anakimbiza kifuli ama ile maji na kuanga kwa lami. But game yende anasema the Jubilee government is like an injured marathoner hobbling to the finish line. Alright, Gideon K anasema what a gift for Uhuru. He will use the wembe ni ule to cut the Raila's neck at Bomas today. Yeah. But anasema the this BBI is insisted to be passed so that these royal families secure their wealth. Muyama K Steve anasema Meshack Odede spitting immense wisdom. Max Kipchumba Karori Chapman. David Kamasa, we need such young and vibrant leaders. Max Melimache. All right. Fidelity Junior, Vida Sama seek the political kingdom first, and other things will be added unto you. But let's do an exchange. the president should give us back the 7 million acres of land he owes, and we shall pass the BBI. Mumaanza bata trade mapema. Kenny Roberts said the truth of the matter is that Uhuru walked away from Jubilee marriage with Ruto and formed a dynasty coalition government. Ruto remained at the original home. Uhuru is the one supposed to return home to Jubilee agenda. Max Meza dead out of order. So going to they are goons. Uhuru, Ruto and Raila, all of them have stolen from the jar of the Kenyan cookies, and they won't betray each other. They just use political gimmicks to treat us to an ugly entertainment. They are birds of a feather. Anasema hapo possibilities might come through by March 2021. That is if Uhuru and Ruto are working on conning us or actually conning politicians. Raila Max anasema Raila is eating, Raila eating is not ODM eating. Sasa sisi tunajua. Irene Katwira anasema tuned. Zazara anasema all of you are interrupting Odede. Leave him complete his sentiments. Sio Odede ameongea kwa jamani. Sio Odede ameongea. Max anasema is ready out of order. Mushai Wangasha anasema remember the old woman said Uhuru haizi pata hata kura 5. Atukongi anasema I'm from the lake and I'm not in Odede. Anasema yeye yuko kwa hiyo base ulisema ya Uhuru Kenyatta kule Kisumu. Bibi Tony Bodesha anasema BBI is truly to unite country. Then why didn't Uhuru and Raila handshake after first term of the presidency? Now that he has finished his term in power, it's time current constitution is dividing country. Kindly don't blackmail us, please. But the president should ask himself why the late President D.T. Moore used to meet the people tours. Chepkwech anasema kwa ground vitu ni different. Chepkwech. Sagong anasema this is indoctrination. When people of the same community swing with the so-called their kins, people should be left to think for themselves. Critical thinking and a dash of skepticism is what we should practice. Hii mambo ya kabila yangu blah 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 has kept a lot of tribal doyens who should have forgotten the hips of his tree. Basho Almosa anasema good morning. Kenya's problem lies in dishonest citizens and corrupt politicians. Laws are as good as those who implement them. We have enough laws. Winner takes it all is a mundane and lack merit. Can the same be said of other elective seats under the constitution? I think he means constitution. Where on the heart do you hear winner takes it all under a country that is constitutional democracy? Greed for wealth and power will destroy Kenya. Must Raila and Uhuru be in power for Kenya to prosper? Are they the only Kenyans that should be in power? In BBI, if you treat us with gender question, shall the 5 top seats be shared as to the gender rule? That's a question on the executive. BBI is like a free steak, but get rotten as you eat inwards. You're on a stick, right? Let Raila and Uhuru retire, and leadership mantle is taken by other generation. Time for visionary and innovative young Kenyans to die for political seats and show how it's done with integrity. Abdullahi Alas, that is from Mandera County. Mambo ya Ngundi anasema loving Karori. Max anasema articulate. Wanjiru anasema ndio naamka. Keep quiet, cheerio. Alright. Naona Lucia naona amerudi hapa anasema good morning. Wamesema kwamba inafaa upewe kawa ndio amuke. Patrick Wanene anasema when the president was asked during the 2007 campaign why is he elected Mount Kenya region to develop other areas that didn't vote for him, he said that 2017 to 2020 would be used to build his own region. However, no sooner had he been re-elected and he started calling the small-scale business as Wakora. Honorable Madam should just keep quiet and let Karori and Lucia debate. Yusuf, two last comments. Yusuf comment on the day President was doubted in Nairobi. Ruto Sonko. President genuine on unity. Yes, he's bonding Raila sidelining his brother Ruto. Conmanship is all over Kenya. Ni mambo watu wanasema ya kwamba juzi rais akiwa pale town CBD aliambiwa enda alete ndugu yake Ruto. Very sober debate. How will BBI prevent Raila from going to street if he loses? BBI still gives the winner all seats president appoints. As we move to BBI, I want to start with Karori. Karori, the deputy president, and has been giving very mixed signals. Zingine anasema let's have a robust discussion on BBI. Jana amesema let's have a decent conversation on BBI. He has said he's going to be at the launch of BBI. What should we expect from the deputy president, especially today as the BBI report is being launched?
I think, Gerald, we start again by the wrong footing, by allowing ourselves to allow politicians to be the one who lead any discussion or any discourse about constitutional change. I am a believer, and I believe as Kipchumba Karori, that when I discuss BBI, I discuss BBI from a personal point of view, and secondly, as a lawyer. If William Ruto has his own stand in the BBI, I think it will be made known in due time. And if whatever he's been saying is his position, that is it, because he has a position which I will say is a position saying, let us have a discussion, a bottom-up discussion, not a up-bottom discussion. So from where I sit, as a politician, he must be having other thoughts, or the thoughts that, politicians think about themselves and the future. So I will not really like to say what he thinks about it, because I think from where I sit, I have just had an opportunity to hear him on 3 or 4 occasions of him discussing BBI, and most of them were on Saturday and yesterday. So, but be it as it may, BBI as is currently has an impact in the next election, which he is a contestant. So I think he will have as much interest as anybody contesting in the seat. And noting that in today's newspapers, Raila has confirmed what we have always whispered in this show, that he's a
presidential candidate.
So he just
said live.
Next time, what do we call somebody who has done something without going home? Or maybe the name has changed.
Gerald.
It is his constitutional right. Let me start so that I'm not vilifying.
Yes.
It is his constitutional right
Yes.
to even vie until he's 100.
Yes.
And it is a good thing. As a political strategist, I will say every time Raila is in the race, that is a good race. Yes.
So you're happy to have him finally on the race.
I mean, Kipchumba won't be satisfied if his candidate will not beat someone.
Now,
like
the Raila has always insisted that he's not interested in the presidency. Now he has come out and said he's running.
You don't know, maybe us who support him decided to tell him, Baba, you must run. I mean, he is people's president. So if he speaks, you never know. It is us who said, Baba, you must run in
You
this
need to go and
election.
say you're going to run.
Yes. But even before that, let me remind Karori something. It is William Ruto who confirmed to some of us that actually Raila is going to run. I mean, when Ruto was telling us, the country, I mean, that hata wachague Uburu Dinga as the IBC chair, sisi hatuogopi, tuko na watu na tuko na Mungu. What does that mean to you, Bitok? It
means that maybe they talk with Raila and he knows Raila is going to run or what?
It means one thing. Ruto has always confirmed to us that he is not foolish, even though nobody has claimed that he's foolish. He has always confirmed to us that he is not drunkard, even though no one ever claims that Ruto is drunkard. He has always confirmed to us the things he is not. But no one has ever claimed that he is those things. The only things that people have claimed that he is, he has never come out to say he is not. Like a thief or a murderer, people have claimed that he is, but he's never come out to say, I'm not a murderer, I'm not a thief. He's only claiming, I'm not drunkard, even though no one says he's drunkard. But one thing I am sure he is a smart politician and very clever. So because he knows who the appointing authority is, he knows who appoints the chairman of IEBC. So when he tells the country, hata waweke Uburu Dinga, we are not afraid. He's speaking to his boss. He's not speaking to Raila, although people think he's speaking to Raila. He knows Raila does not appoint the IBC chair. Uhuru does. So he confirmed to me where I was watching that clip. I got a sigh of relief and say, Deputy President, and he has confirmed all the times that I'm Deputy President of this country, meaning there are things he knows that I don't know. So if he says...
like Baba running.
So if he says to the appointing authority that hata ukiweka the brother of that guy... we are not afraid. Then I said, Kumbe Baba Uhuru wants Baba to be president. I mean, that is how he confirmed it to me. So I think it is not Baba himself. Maybe Uhuru want him and also us want him. So don't blame Baba if he runs again.
Lucia, let's now roll the discussion to BBI. Yesterday, mulikuwa na press conference mkasema ya kwamba amutaki mambo ya BBI. Kwa nini amutaki BBI?
The BBI report is not progressive at all, Gerald, first and foremost.
What's your definition of progressive?
Something that moves forward. The BBI report is just retrogressive. Like, ni mzee tu kama wazee wenye walikaa wakaifikiria, honestly. It's so old, yani. It's so yesterday.
What are some of the things that you've picked up that you're in contention with?
The creating of an judiciary ombudsperson, which already exists. The fact that they now want to amend Chapter 6 of the Constitution, which they have never implemented, which they cannot even implement, because that means they'll have to take themselves to prison. What do they want to amend it for? Also saying that they need to redefine citizen responsibilities. Gerald, you pay your taxes, you pay your rent, you pay your water and electricity bills. You wake up every day to come and hustle so that you can be able to earn a living and pay those taxes to government. Yet government does not use those taxes for the things that they're supposed to empower you as a Kenyan citizen. So which other responsibilities do they want to teach us? Because as far as I'm concerned, every existing Kenyan is a responsible Kenyan. I mean, hata tunakubali kuharasiwa na hawa watu when they shouldn't be harassing us. We are that good, yani. Like we are the Kenyans who are slapped on the right cheek and we turn the left one. And they want to teach us what kind of responsibilities do they now want to put in our constitution? Our constitution as is, Gerald, is sufficient. Just because two people felt that it was not accommodating their desires does not mean that the rest of us want to go that way. Whatever it is that Kenyans are asking for from the leaders is directly the opposite of what the leaders are giving us. The president, I think 2-3 years ago, promised that the government is going to take austerity measures. Tell me where an austerity measure is in blotting the legislation. Where is the austerity in that? Wakenya wanataka kupunguziwa mzigo, lakini president amesema acha niwaongeze. You know, when I'm reminded of the Israelites in the Bible when they cried and they said, oh, we want a king, we want a king. And God told them, he's going to rule you with an iron fist. But then they said, we want a king, we want a king. That is what we did to ourselves. We wanted Tano Tena, now we have it. It's ruling us with an iron fist. He's inaccessible to the people he's supposed to be ruling with. He's inaccessible to the people he's supposed to be ruling. And then he wants to change things. Who informed that decision? Mama Mboga does not care about having a male and a female senator. Pesa ya kuwalipa itatoka wapi? Already Mama Mboga is struggling. There is no place in the BBI where it says, this is what we are going to do to deal with corruption. This is what we are going to do to turn around our economy. These are the policies that we've realized are punitive in the entrepreneurial space. So these are the policies that we are going to change. No, nothing at all. Now they're saying they're giving young people a 4-year moratorium HELB loan, a moratorium for the HELB loan. A typical Kenyan youth will come out of the university and tarmac for about 7 to 10 years. So your 4 years inasaidia mtu na nini? They're telling you that they're giving you a tax holiday. A tax holiday for a business that you cannot even afford to start. What is the point of that? Like, wametuwekea tu hapa very, very fake and funny, fantastic fake and funny words za kutu entice, when in reality they are not going to add any value to our lives. None at all. So why would I support a document that is, someone actually said the BBI report is a plagiarized constitution, and it is. It is a plagiarized constitution, and I think everyone that took part in coming up with the BBI report should actually be charged for plagiarism. It's just wrong. It's stupid. I cannot believe that a task force of I don't know how many people, 12 people sat down, and this is the rubbish that they afforded to bring us. It's stupid, and I'm ashamed of them. They are not Kenyans.
All right, Karori, can you take us through the BBI report as a lawyer? What are the things some of the things that first of all, do you feel we need a constitutional amendment? Do you have a constitutional moment? Do we need a BBI? Secondly, what are the pros and the cons in the BBI report?
You know, Gerald, if I were to be a conservative Puritan, I will avoid to use the words I want to use. But because we are here and it is life, it is happening, I will just go ahead. There are very few things you can manufacture in life, and there are those you can't. One of it is an orgasm. You can't manufacture one.
But you can fake it.
Yeah, you can fake it, but you know in your heart it is not happening. Such is a constitutional moment. You can never manufacture a constitutional moment. It just happens. That is why the despots of Gaddafi and all kina Mugabe could not manufacture a constitutional moment. It is a moment that is heralded by so many things happening. It is heralded by people feeling it is our time to go. They go to where their desires want them to be. So, and BBI is not such a document. Let us start from there. 2, go to the task force terms of reference, the TORs. There was nowhere they were told, go and amend the constitution. It was about policy recommendations. They were never to discuss about constitutional amendment because, Gerald, of one thing. When you read Article 255 of our constitution, it talks about amending the constitution. You go, it gives you 2 ways of amending it, either by popular initiative 256 or through parliament 257. And 255 says the things you can amend through the 2. What you can amend through 256 and what you can amend through 257. We are not told that the executive has capacity to amend the constitution. That is why we go back to the foundational question, where do these people get the power? Because at the end of the day, I do not approve of my money as a taxpayer being used to solicit for constitutional reforms which are aimed at fixing political problems, which are aimed at fixing 2022. It is none of my business as a Kenyan, away from being a lawyer, because as a Kenyan, I have expectations. I expected Uhuru Kenyatta to fulfill the Jubilee Manifesto which he had given us. And in Jubilee Manifesto, there was no constitutional amendment in it. That is what I voted for 2 times. The other thing is this, and we must say it categorically, is that we began with the Big 4. We went to other things. We ended up reducing Kenya to Nairobi NMS, and now we have reduced it further to Bomas BBI. So I don't know next where we are going. So, but coming back to the document, I have had the opportunity to go through the document twice, and the more I go through it, the more I realize that you can buy very many things, but wisdom has to be founded from God. That is one of the things I found. But be it as it may, this document, I will say in one word, if I were to describe it, it is underwhelming. Having spent so much time going through so many places. And Gerald, let us not confuse ourselves. The document is not underwhelming because the issues that Kenyans gave in those things were underwhelming. Let us not confuse ourselves. Kenyans gave solid recommendation to the BBI task force. They are online. You can read them. I want you to read today, and any Kenyan watching us, to read the views that were given by the convention in, I think it was Narok, by the Ma community. I want them to again read what was given in Mombasa, and to read what was submitted by our governors to State House, by the North Rift people, because that is the Rift Valley governors. There were several good things in those documents that if you read them, you will think we will create a heaven in Kenya. Just to take you through, like for example, the document representing the parts of North Rift where I come from, there was something known as guaranteed minimum returns. How it is not even in any part of this document, I wonder what happened. The other thing is this: when you talk about amending the Constitution of Kenya, that presupposes that you have done an independent audit and you have engaged stakeholders to know where the Constitution has not served as well. And if you do so, that will have informed the terms of reference that we are amending this and this because it has not helped us. That will have been a good beginning point, which is not biased. But here, we have a situation where 2 gentlemen shook hands and said we will have a constitutional moment. What stops Oliver Kipchumba Karori from shaking hands with Meshack Odede and demanding a constitutional moment? Because we are Kenyans by right. We have all the rights accrued to us from the Constitution and by birth. What stops us from having that moment? 2, we went to the 2017 election, both A and B, not to determine who will come up with a document for constitutional change for us. We went there to look for a president. When Raila lost, it was incumbent upon him to accept that he has lost an election and go concentrate in other things in Opoda Farm. And Uhuru Kenyatta goes to State House and concentrates in leading the nation. That being what I've said, there are things that I have noted. There are few sweeteners in this constitution, in this document, that ought to be discussed. First of all, I think the introduction of the office of the official leader of opposition resident in parliament is a welcome relief, because the constitution 2010 had a little problem. It assumed that we are a state that has reached a point that when you lose an election, you go home and you have peace with it. But the realities, or what as we say vitu kwa ground is different, is that when a person who has 45% of Kenya must be somewhere, so that it acts as an anesthesia to his supporters that mtu wetu wako mahali. It is a stupid way of looking at things, but it is the reality. That is something that I thought ought to have been there with a budget, and the budget should be tied to the national budget. Let's say 0.1%, 0.2%, because at the end of the day, we must seem to have a running and a functioning government. And then the other sweetener, which I see, but it is unnecessary, is what Lucia was talking about. Do you need a constitutional moment for you to give a moratorium to people about help? You don't need it. You just need the echo through the chairman of help to wake up in the morning. When you read the help act, there must be somewhere where discretion has been given. You just implement the help act. Do you, when it comes to the issue of a tax holiday for youth, Gerald, the reality is this: the problem is not in paying tax. I wish the people who run this country knew that.
Understood that.
All the youth can pay tax, and they pay tax.
We actually
I have
want
done
to
business
pay tax.
and I have paid tax. The problem is this: give them the opportunities, don't take away their opportunities. A few years ago, President Kibaki, a great gentleman, introduced the 30%. Although it was a government policy, it had not been legislated. Now it has been legislated. What happened later? The elites and the middle class people took the opportunity, started forming companies with youth. They started supplying. The other day we saw those clinic containers which are still lying somewhere in Mombasa. They were supplied with somebody with a person claiming to have disability. So those are some of the things we are saying. Implement what is there for the youth first. If you today you want to make the youth feel included in leadership, allow the National Youth Council to run, so that youth can have a place of airing their views. At times it is not even about opportunities, it is about the youth being heard. The Youth Commission cannot do what the Youth Council is doing. Just politicians have frustrated the Youth Council because they know that if the Youth Council is vibrant, most of these incompetent politicians will go home, because you have young people who have the right ideas, the right education. What will deny them an opportunity from taking over leadership? So it is something I will term as a generation jealous, so that the older generation don't want the younger generation to come up. How we ended having it in the BBI is a tale. The other thing that we need to debunk while seated here is the issue of this BBI talking about the issue on women. Whereas it is the interest, and with the 21st century, women should be on the table. Not as people serving food, but as members in the discussion. But for a long time, they have been in the table of the buffet or the waiters or the waitresses.
Or as the meat.
But what does the Constitution propose? One, we had the Constitution as is currently should just have been implemented, and implemented in a way that allow women to come and occupy spaces. What do I mean? Senate was already sorted. The county assemblies were already sorted. What we needed to sort now was the National Assembly, and which I think even the BBI has left out. It has left us where the current constitution left us. We don't know even this thing we call mixed member. How will we achieve? Because the explanation being given there is the zebra model. The explanation in the document is a different model. I think what we are telling Kenyans and what the document says should meet at some point. And again, women must understand one thing. Under the women rep, there was the National Government Affirmative Action Fund. When you take women to Senate, there is no money with it. How will you implement that? The money, the Affirmative Action Fund might not have been a constitutional way of issuing money, but it was helping some other cadres of life. Young girls were getting their sanitary pads. There was just something happening in the tail end. Those people in the bottom of the pyramid were getting something. Where do you take that money in this document? Those are some of the discussions we need to be asking ourselves. And the other aspect we also need to know, which when you read the term of reference, you do not get it. Where do we go with this document from here? Do we go for a discussion? Is this the starting point of a discussion? Or is this the documents we are taking for a referendum? Where are we? Yes.
All right, Odede.
Yes.
So what are the issues that you have with BBI before I even leave you? Karori. Anyway, let's go to Odede. Odede.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on BBI? The pros and cons?
Yes. Allow me to begin by saying I support BBI. I support the document. But that does not mean there is nothing wrong in the document. There could be one or two things. But of course, in every situation, you'll analyze and say what is good and what is bad. Is the good outweighing the bad, or is the bad outweighing the good? And that is how you end up making a decision to either say yes or no to it. Allow me to say I am coming from a different perspective from my brother Oliver. Being from a Luo nation, I know the experience we have and my people could be very different from the experience of Oliver. Having been in government, quote unquote, 24 years earlier, and then later on another 7, 8 now, he has never met probably what I have met. There is someone in this country who has been told, because your name is O, we're not comfortable having you here, even though you qualify more than everybody else there. So how I will look at the BBI is not automatically the same way William Ruto or any other person from that part of the country will look at it. Others have also been in the middle. They have swung in opposition, and whenever it is difficult, they have gone into government. Not the same as my people who have been permanently on the opposing side.
But they've been shaking hands for the longest time, since the early 1990s.
I don't think so.
Shook hands with Moi, shook hands with Kibaki, shook hands with Uhuru. That is government. Even now,
you only shake hands because that can confirm to you that they have been on the opposing side. You can't shake hands within.
If you're inside.
Within. When you're inside, you're inside. But allow me to look at it from the perspective that my two colleagues have brought. For me,
why do you support BBI? Let's begin from there. You've said you support BBI. Yes.
One, when somebody like Lucia would say tax break is not important because these young people do not even have a way of starting this business. I don't know whether government begins business or starts business for young people anywhere in the world. But what I know, the government creates an enabling environment. So to me, I choose to look at it from a different perspective, that it is an attempt to create that enabling environment for young people. Because if I graduate from university and I start a small hustle, maybe nimepewa wheelbarrow, I'm doing something, and taxes are here for me to pay, help loan is for me to pay, and I still want to take care of my family or earn a livelihood from it, it becomes extremely difficult or probably impossible. So when government tells me that I now want to take away tax for sometimes for you, and I want to create some breathing space for help, I think that is what we call creating an enabling environment. I don't think government should be knocking our doors as young people and saying, now this is your business.
Please allow me to stop you there. Because you are wrong. You are dead wrong.
Allow him to explain himself first, then I'll give you a rejoinder. Please. Let him finish on the. Let him finish on the. Let him finish on BBI. I want you to finish on BBI, then you can have a rejoinder.
Okay.
Just give us what you think is right, what is wrong about BBI, then you will have a space for a rejoinder.
Actually, it's just that one point that I want to comment on.
Okay.
In a niwasha, because everyone in this country gets it wrong. We don't want government to give us jobs. We don't want government to start businesses for us. We want government to create a conducive environment for us to do these things for ourselves. Let me tell you where government has failed to create a conducive environment for that. If I want to register a company today, how much is it going to cost me? Because without having a registered company, then I cannot get the AGPO. I cannot. But then how much is it costing me to register that business? Number 2, how much is it costing me in licenses to operate that business? Let's talk about that first before we go to taxes. So government has made it impossible for small businesses and startups to thrive. How is that creating a conducive environment? You make it impossible for me to start a business, then you're giving me a tax holiday. For what?
Okay, let me
What
now.
is the point of kunipea socks na sina kiatu?
Let me
Where
now
is
come
the whole
through.
point?
Socks gani unasema?
So for me, I mean, no, Lucia, for me, I said very well, this is an attempt to create the enabling environment.
An attempt.
But where we all got it wrong, especially the anti-BBI, when the opportunity came for those ideas to be tabled on the table, maybe Lucia should confirm to us that these ideas were actually given to the 14-member committee and it is missing in the document.
What about
I
those
can
which
actually confirm
But if it was... Wait, why are you itching? I mean...
Because you are misguiding the public.
I'm not
There is a
misguiding
document.
anyone.
If somebody has a quick Google phone here, there is a document that was presented to the BBI team and received by the secretary, Professor Olo. Adams received that document.
Yes.
And in that document, it had very salient things for the youth.
Yes.
I might not be a youth advocate because I am an equality person. But you have to understand the vulnerabilities of the youth and accessing capital. The main problem of the young people in this country is not tax, and I have said it before. Their main problem is in being allowed. If today, let us take a good example, Meshack. You want to open a club, not even a club, a pub in Rongai. Do you know you need 180,000 to get the licenses before you buy your first stock? Maybe even stocking a pub costs you 90,000. But having the licenses costs you 180,000.
That I agree.
Now, where we need to take this discussion,
Yes.
and that's why I'm saying it is not a constitutional discussion, it is a policy discussion. And it will better have been done by other the policy makers. And the other thing also that the BBI report suffers from, it plagiarizes whatever Sakaja has put in that startups bill and brings it here, marauding the same as recommendation when there is something in parliament.
Gerald,
but
you
now,
need to protect me
what
because
we-
I need to not
I
lose
have
my
protected
train
you.
of thoughts.
what we need to do, Gerald, is this.
No, Kipchumba has just jumped in.
If whoever
I'll shoot it back.
The youth is really sincere and they are helping. Tell us today, we are giving all youth or all the young people, upon their attainment to 18 years, we are giving them a 5-year open check. When they want to open a business, they just register with the government entities. For
free.
example, if I open a company today, do you know how much it costs you to just apply for an NCA, National Construction Authority? 15,000. And then you have to pay 1,000 to apply for YAGBO. You have to pay all the licenses. You can't do business in Nairobi without that county permit, which is on the lower side 8,000. If we really want to help the young people in this country, and we know banks do not give them money because they have no collateral, and no parent, unless you are a dynasty, will give you their document as a collateral. So what we really need to do to help the youth, allow government should allow them to do businesses with at least the licenses should not be severe. Currently, the licenses are punishing. 2, we have so many compounded licenses, which even in a normal environment, do not encourage business. And I will challenge the Kenyan government. Go to Rwanda and look at how their business model is. You don't need so many licenses.
Yes.
Go to Uganda here. We call Museveni all manner of names, but you must respect the environment, the business environment there. And that is why most of the people in the sugar industry are running away from Kenya. Because one, it is cartel infested. And it is also a problem to the youth. You have made cartels in all sectors. When you go to the cement industry, there is a cartel. When you go to the sugar industry, there is a cartel. The only place where cartels are not there, but they are coming up, is even when you are procuring youth to go and cheer you for a rally. Cartels are there. So where do you want the youth to
Let's
go?
give Meshack an opportunity to
Let me come in
let me give you
into the discussion. The truth is, Oliver, you have a point, and Lucia has a point. But didn't we have things like Uwezo Fund in this country, which was basically started by the same government? Didn't we have Youth Enterprises Fund and all that? I choose to look at it from that perspective. They started this, even if it failed, whether it failed or not, that's a different discussion. But I see a position where this had been started so that youths can access some little funds for the businesses. And now the document we are calling BBI comes with a more better solution to that, assuming that Youth Fund worked. And assuming that Uwezo Fund works. So this young girl or young man has accessed the capital. So what do we do so that that small business can grow? We give tax break. We exempt them for some time from paying their HELB loan. If that was in that sequence, things would work. I'm not saying the BBI document is completely, a silver bullet. It is not. I'm saying the trail of thought in it would match what was happening before. So the problem I have with the opposers, when there was time to sit down and say, this is not going to work for us like this. All of them said that is nothing. Two people just sat down, and that is where Oliver is coming from. What stops me and Meshack from shaking hands and demanding this? Where do we get the mandate? Those are two people who had the 54%ers and 44%ers. That is where the mandate came from. You and I know we were looking for leadership at that moment of crisis. So if they all went and sat down and nothing happens, would we be better as a country without that handshake and even the things that followed thereafter? Are we simply saying all our problems emanated from this BBI thing? Were we not having young people going hungry without food before the BBI? Were we not same Kenyans who were told tunakula nyama, nyinyi muendelee kumeza mate? At that time, were we not Kenyans? And then somebody is coming now to tell us he has just woken up and found out that young people are going hungry without food in this country. I'm not going to take that for now.
All right, wacha tuchukue simu. Bunge la mwenyeji iko wazi. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, this is Abdullahi, Madera County.
Abdullahi, salamu alaikum.
Salamu alaikum, salam, nzuri sana.
Nawaambia dadie.
Salama sana. Yeah, I think what we need to discuss in Kenya is not Uhuru, Raila or Ruto in the first place. It is what is good for the 50 million or 45 million Kenyans. Now, when we discuss giving seats to 5 people at the top level as the Prime Minister, deputies, and the Vice President and the President, do we have in BBI that we are going to consider a two-third general rule in this setup? That is a question maybe I would like Karori to answer. We are talking of a country where 50% of Kenyans lack clean water. 47 of them lack food. 55% go without medicine. In a task, let's say, workforce of 20 million, 50% of them are unemployed with primary certificates. The employment of graduates are around 9%. Now, what we need as a country is to have a discussion on what is wrong with us and how do we correct that. Uhuru and Raila should give us a break. They have done their part. Then how do we do or how do we go ahead? It's a discussion that 45 million Kenyans and 10 million voters must have on how to improve the health system, on how to improve our roads, on how to reduce corruption. But this idea of just saying rewarding people, when you reward them, then what? Right now, We had a constitution that is, most people say, is a bit transformative. We borrowed from South Africa, United Kingdom, in the Americas. And under it, Parliament was given, enormous powers. But currently we see a Parliament that is already in bed with, or became a branch of State House. People who you think are lawyers and advocates and economists and journalists, but when they went to Parliament, I think they forgot their brain either in their bedrooms or they left it in the shop. When they came there now, they are being told what to be done from State House. I mean, Uhuru was elected by Kenyans, MPs were elected by Kenyans. If the Senate could stand to the bullying of Kenyan presidency that has been over the time abused, then it took us almost 10, 11 times to get what is good for Kenyans.
Okay.
So I think we need to take heed from what the Senate did and reject what these guys are saying. BBI, as I said before, cannot change the politics of bad manners. It is the individual who has been entrusted with that office to have manners, to have conscious about issues he's dealing with. A man should have certain values and ideals that he's dealing with people. But look at what is happening in Nairobi. I mean, for you to get a contract, you must pay 10% upfront. You see, then you get the contract, then you finish the rest with, the person you're giving 10,000 is a person of a PS level or a CS level. Someone, the taxpayers have given chase cars, they have paid his salary, they are paying his health insurance. What Uhuru was using yesterday, all those choppers, all those vehicles belong to the people of Kenya.
All right.
So when these people are addressing us, they should address us like people who employed them, people who did them favor, people who the power they're using are given to them on behalf of Kenyans under Article 1, but they should not treat us that the dynasties, the Hasra, that narrative is neither here nor there. So what we need is a country where leaders respect the rule of law, they respect themselves. Uhuru cannot tell us that Ruto is in the government and is not respected. Where was he in the first 5 years?
All right. So do you support BBI ama uko nje? BBI tupitisha ama yanguke?
Mimi kwanza, my wife is a nurse, she works in the hospital. We had a discussion last night. She told me BBI is nonsense. Sasa kama mama amesema BBI ni nonsense.
Sawa, mkubali maneno ya mama hata.
Raila bibi yake alimwambia Raila bibi yake alimwambia BBI is good. Uhuru bibi yake alimwambia BBI is good. Mimi bibi yangu ameniambia BBI is very bad.
So sisi wote turudi kwa mabibi. Asante. Good morning.
Wameambiwa na nani?
Good morning.
Mama yao.
Good morning. Yes, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, morning to you.
Niambie.
Can you see the show is doing well?
Yes, thank you. Nazungumza na nani?
Now, I'm called Boniface.
Yes, Boniface.
Hey, now the only problem I'm seeing that panel is that this BBI report now is out.
Yes.
And Kenyans know how to read. And we are going to read it and understand it. But now the problem is with the most panelists, they want to tell us what they know, how they want people to believe in it. We will read it, we will understand it, and we will make a decision on it. And the only way is the democratic way is to allow people to read it. And when it comes to referendum, you either vote yes or no. That is the democracy. But coming up, they are telling us that this is bad, this is not giving youth this is not giving youth. No, we will read it. We will read it. Let them have their own opinion, but let them stop telling Kenya that this is wrong, this is good. Yeah, right. So the only way out is let everybody read. Then you will have your vote, you will say yes or no.
Kila mtu ajisomee hii kitu.
Yeah, they side with the most votes will win. Because now, as it is now, you will see, for example, a panelist on the side of the other person, this one or the other person, the other one is taking the middle ground, or maybe activists, something like that. Those are the things we don't want.
All right, that's what Boniface.
Yes.
Thank you. Have a good day. Nasikia mambo ya hata hapa wamesema mtu waambieko tu hiki kitu lakini msituambie vile inafaa tupige kura.
No, you know Meshack amesema the one thing that Kibaki's government
Acha tuchukue tusikie. Hello, good morning.
Jambo bwana Gerard.
Jambo.
Ni Steve Mwema hapa.
Steve Mwema, wazada mnani?
Salimia waungwana hapo sana Lucia Ayela.
Steve, nimesalimika.
Wewe ni mrembo sana isipokuwa kasoro moja tu una reject BBI.
Hiyo si kasoro mtu wangu.
Sisi tuna support BBI. Mimi na support BBI manake tunataka tukiangalia katiba ya saizi Mkalenjina akitoka Mkikuyu ataingia. Kwa hivyo hata post ya prime minister, watu wetu huko pwani huko Mduruma anaweza pata kiti ya prime minister. Kwa hivyo mimi na support BBI.
Lakini wanasema hiyo prime minister ni Duale tu amevalishwa nini necklace.
Hapana, tunataka tu kujua tugawanye sisi. Manake sasa siku gani mpwani atapata kiti? Tukiwa na hii katiba tukiendelea hivi niambie wakati gani mpwani atapata kiti. Tukiwa hata na hii katiba. Sasa hizi hatuna numbers. Kura za pwani zote zikipigwa kura zote ni 900,000. Zinakansoliwa hapa na Kiambu 1.5. Sasa
hiyo inalala haraka.
Tutapata kura. Ama tuende parliamentary system, lakini for now tuna support BBI. Kitu cha pili nataka kukosoa Lucia. Lucia anasema kuregister business name ni very difficult. By the way, kuregister business nowadays is very easy. Unaenda online. Umenipata? Ukienda online unalipia jina, unangojea wiki 2, unapata jina, baadaye unapata your business name or company name. Okay? Mambo mengine wanasema mambo ati ya kujenga, ati lazima tuende nini National Construction Authority. Same Kipchumba. Wakati watu wataanza kujenga mashodi buildings hapa hivi Huruma, alafu zianguke, wataanza kusema where were the institutions zinasimamia hizi building. Kwa hivyo kuna njia ambayo inafaa ifuatwe na kila mwananchi. Kama unataka kujenga lazima upate cheti kutoka kwa county. Kila mahali dunia mzima, tusitake kuenda shortcut. Hii shortcut ndio inatuletea problem. Kwa mfano, enda saizi ya Utarin Road. Barabara imejengwa mzuri. Sonko amekuja akaambia watu msilipe kodi. Umenipata? Kodi ya county. Si watu artisan pale kwa Utarin Road wanafanya kazi mzuri sana. Lakini hawalipi kodi. Unapata mtu ameinvade barabara. Umenipata? Maana wanasema Sonko ametuambia tusilipe kodi, hii barabara ni yetu. Unanipata? So those shortcuts, they are not good for developing a country. Let us adhere to the law. Let us pay kodi. Let us kama ni kufungua endo pate cheti. Kuna cheti ya afya. Endo chukue cheti. Kuna cheti ya service. Hizo ndi vitu zinafaa kila mtu adhere to those laws. Ni hayo tu bwana Gerald, lakini tu support BBI.
Asante sana ndugu yangu.
Okay, I think Gerald inastahili ni mjibu. Anaitwa Boniface ama
anaitwa Steve Mwema.
Steve Mwema. Kuna kitu moja huyo kaka endakana aelewe. Na kusikiza ni kitu ya muhimu. Tumesema kwamba vijana sio vijana hawaogopi kulipa kodi. Vijana hawajapewa fursa. Na tukarudia tukasema kijana apewe cheti ambacho kinaonyesha yeye ni kijana, ndio akienda katika ile muktadha wa NCA, National Construction Authority. Anapewa ama ananyimwa leseni hile kupitia ujuzi anao, lakini haulizwi kitu. Kitu ambacho tunapigania si ujuzi, vijana wana ujuzi. Kitu ambacho tunapigania ni pesa, hawana pesa. Tunataka vijana wapate vitu hivi vyote bila kutumia hela, kwa sababu tumetumia hapa mfano wa kufungua bar. Ni kwamba utahitaji shilingi 1180 na labda bar unafungua ni ya shilingi 1090. Sasa haya maneno yote ni jambo la kusaidia iwapo kutakuwa na msimamo wa serikali ambao si wa kikatiba. Ni msimamo wa serikali kwamba vijana wasaidiwe. Hiyo ndio itasaidia.
Alright. Hiyo ndio majibu yako umepeleka kwa Mwema. You can let's pick another call then. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Talk.
Tuambie.
This is Governor P. Mshando.
Governor Mshando, tuambie nadi.
Mimi niko sawa. Sasa hii mambo ya BBI, my friend. Some of the proposals they are making are so outrageous. How do you pretend to give a young person a tax holiday when you cannot even relax the laws of registering a business? Have you prepared an enabling environment that young man can gain capital to do that business in the first place? Because you give tax holiday to people who are already in business. You cannot, Mshando cannot be given a tax holiday if he does not have a business. The question would be, why can't we address the ease of doing business first before we talk about the tax regime in this country? Let us talk about what is the process of owning a business. The other day, the president said that he is going to have young guys do the lockup that he promised, the 1.9 billion. I've been with you. We have been looking at how difficult it is for those young people to access those businesses because their papers are not in order. So when you're telling me that BBI is giving me a 7-year tax holiday, are you telling me that I need BBI to get that tax holiday? It is within the rights of the Minister for Finance to simply do a gazette notice on the same. We don't need BBI for you to do that. We just need a will for the government to be willing to do it. When you are telling me that a student in the university will have 4 years grace period to be paying help, do we need BBI to do that? Again, we need a gazette notice to vacate that regulation that requires someone to start paying immediately. When you are telling me that BBI is going to unite this country, what is so magical about BBI that it will unite this country? And if indeed BBI can unite this country, then for the first time Kenya can have a very rare commodity cash crop we can export to the world in the name of BBI. Because if a document that is written on paper can bring peace in this country, then we should export it to the East Europe where they are fighting right now. The basic truth is that we are being taken around and being given sweeteners so that we can now give these people possessions. Because if you ask me, I see a document that wants to curtail the freedom of judiciary. I want to see, I'm looking at a document that is meant to actually satisfy the egos of those who are in leadership. And I think if you look at that document, I've taken time to read it, 90% of that document does not require any of the nonsense they are doing in Bomas today, sorry to say. It requires a parliament that is willing to change roles. It requires a government that is willing to... In fact, you look at issues to do with tax. The Minister for Finance is empowered to actually give you a tax grace period. You do not require the government, you do not require BPI to do that. So for me, I find it in bad faith that things that this government can do are simply being tied around BBI. We are being told that today I've seen people who are pro-BBI saying that this country is coming in contact with its destiny. What is the destiny we talk of that man in Moiben who cannot put the food on the table? Or that someone in Baringo whose house has been submerged? How does BBI resolve the issues around that person's life? I think for me, BBI, the constitutional discussion is okay because a constitution is a progressive document.
All right, Mshando.
But the priority in this nation is not BBI right now.
Okay, asante sana. Thank you so much, Mshando, for your sentiments.
All right.
All right, guys, wacha to respond. Tukienda, let's stretch. I'll start with you, Odede, kwa sababu ndio umesema mambo yako sana. All right. Let's start with you.
Let me say one thing. The question should be, if nothing happened after the election of 2017, would we have been better as a country? Would the person who is submerged in Baringo now in a big flat, would the guy he's claiming is going without food have abundance of food because, I mean, nothing happened? For me, I choose to look at it like this. We've had these problems. They have been there. The same people who have been in government who did not ensure that some of these things happened are now out claiming how the constitution has not been implemented fully. Who stopped them? When did they try to implement the constitution as government and somebody stopped them? We are talking about things like Duale bills on gender parity. Has gone to parliament how many times? But how many times did we hear Duale and the rest of Jubilee guys telling us they have numbers in parliament? So how did they not use that number to come up with such kind of things? Who stopped them? Now, because the problems are here with us and BBI is trying to give a solution, even if it is not 100%, then the same guys who stopped and did not do anything are now telling us, let's go back, the constitution has all that. We all know it is not new. We all know that this document has got legislative proposals, has got constitutional proposals, and even policy. If anybody is now saying, like my brother Kipchumba, that the Minister for Finance is just supposed to do a gazette notice, why didn't he do that gazette notice all the times they were there from 2013?
Ask the man who shook us, Uhuru Kenyatta. That is the government.
No, this is now a very...
Kipchumba has never worked in government.
No, this is now a very easy way of running away, because all the supporters of DP are now telling us how they are not in government. But yesterday I was watching DP in Kakamega telling us he is deputy president of this country. So when did he stop being in government and all of a sudden somebody else is supposed to take that blame? So I don't think we are honest with ourselves. We needed leadership. It has been provided. When the two guys told us, according to us, these 9 points are the issues we think are ailing this country. Then the 14-member committee was thrown to us in the 47 counties to give our views. We should have started there by telling the two gentlemen, it is wrong. These 9 points agenda are not our problems. As Kenya, our problems are 1, 2, 3, 4. And when they were sitting at KICC and Laiko to confirm, we would have gone there again and validated and said, yes, you captured our real aspirations and thoughts. But to come at the last stage and pretend that you now have better solutions, okay, it is okay, there is still time. Give those solutions to the committee. But don't tell me we need to rubbish everything because people are going hungry. How many people have gone hungry all this time? And we were just watching. And talk about bloated things like, oh, we are now having a bloated executive where it is a burden on Mwananchi. Do we know what fraction of the budget is funding the entire legislative arm of government vis-a-vis the other part of the budget? We have a budget of 2-point-something trillion. The only percentage that funds legislative section is about less than 14% or there below. Are we saying this is where the burden is and not the other percentage of 80-something, which goes to corruption, all of it? Now when we are trying to bring solutions, the same people who have been beneficiaries of all the 80-something% corruption is telling us they are going to burden you here. Are we supposed to take care of this 14% more than 86% that they are looting all over? I don't think so.
Do you want us to believe that those people who have been stealing that 85% will now stop stealing because the BBI report has come out?
I would rather have the 5% of the total amount that is coming to my county than leaving it all to William Ruto at the top to eat it. I would rather have it down there with us. Because we are talking about 35% minimum. Right now, we are talking about 15%, and nothing stops government, yes, from raising it. But in the BBI, it is now 35 minimum, they can go further up. 35 minimum is a game changer in a budget of 2-point-something trillion, Gerald. If 2-point-something trillion, we get 35 to go to the counties, we will be talking about more than 500 billion. Right now, we were busy discussing 316 na tumevutana hapo sijui how many times to get 306. So for me this is a game changer. And if 500 billion goes to the counties and then every county does 5% to every ward as what development funds, that will change something. I'm not saying it will solve all problems, but it is better than now.
All right, even as you do that, so that we able to close on the round, give us your tackle of the day.
Yes.
Then what's your tackle of the day?
Let me give you my tackle of the day. This country has been ruled by ourselves since Mzungu left for 50-something years. There is what we call a national cake. The people who sit on the table where that cake is cut have been deciding what pieces do some of us get. And that is the reason why, for me, it is a do or die. People from different parts of this country must find their representatives on that table where the cake is divided. We will lie to ourselves saying, it doesn't matter who cuts the cake. I mean, as long as it matters so much who cuts the cake, because that is the person who decides what some other part of the country gets. So the big tackle here is the people who have been on that table all these 50-something years have been cutting the cake, feeding their backyards, and telling some of us who have not been on those tables that it doesn't really matter. And then some of them are telling us, you know, these appointments you're talking about are individual. We both know they are not individuals. We know if today Kipchumba is the one heading the army, all the people from Uasin Gishu, young people, will be in that army. And if Maraga, like he is the judiciary head, we know how, if audit is done today, how many cases are in judiciary. And if another person is in parliament as the head of legislative arm, we know how many of them works there. So let us divide this cake by having representatives in this table. Let somebody from Taita be in this, and somebody from Mombasa be in that, and somebody from Luo Nyanza be in that, and a lawyer be there and here. We saw 2013 to 2017 how all the government appointments, everything that is big, went to Kalenjin and Kikuyu community, or Mount Kenya as it is. When the rest were watching and being told, sisi tutakula, we want tunataka nyama. It is time that BBI is bringing all of us to the table where the cake is being cut, and I'm not apologizing for that.
Nataka nyama. Lucia, your reactions as you also give us your tackle of the day.
Meshack is two-faced. You are two-faced, my brother.
Politics is two-faced.
Umekaa hapa ukatuambia the one good thing that the Kibaki government did was to focus on what results and not the goodwill. And now here you're unapigia BBI drum because it focuses on the goodwill rather than the results. You are assuming a lot of things. You are assuming Youth Enterprise Development Fund works. It does not. You are assuming Uwezo Fund works. It does not. You are assuming all these things when they do not. And I am assuring you, I was at the BBI that those things they were doing kupeana huko maoni yangu, and none of the things I presented, none, not even one. And you know the problem in this country is one. I think Meshack Karori and I need to educate you a little on youth struggles. The one problem in this country is implementation. That is the only problem we have. We do not know if the BBI report will be implemented. Even those good things in the report that you're talking about, we have no idea if they're going to be implemented at all, because that's the culture that we have in this country. So you cannot sit here and say that, oh, it is good, because no. The only thing that we really need to be looking at right now is the political goodwill to implement, which does not exist. And my tackle of the day, Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. you started sijui na kuuza mahindi ama ilikuwa kuuza kuku, wherever it is you started, son of a nobody, you've established yourself to where you've gotten today. You're the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. Admirable, very inspiring. But when you were launching the Jubilee Party manifesto, you told us that serikali ya Jubilee itakuwa serikali ya kusema na kutenda. And when you come back to ask us for votes, we should judge you according to the deliverables. And today, I really want to focus on these things that you call deliverables, because I have not seen any of them. Among the many promises that you gave to us, and I'm insisting on this because you're still part of Jubilee Party, you're still part of the government, you're the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, you're the second highest power in this country. You promised us 1 million acres of land under modern irrigation. We only have 600 acres of that land. You promised us 7 to 10% growth rate of the economy. We are currently at 4.9%, our highest being 5.9%. Primary to secondary school transition, you have tried. Increasing national budget allocation from 15% to 40%, as my brother Meshack is here advocating for 35%. Your initial promise was for 40%. That has not happened, and I'm not seeing it happening anytime soon. 9 stadia, none. Internship program for the young people, none. International markets for the farmers, none. Enhancing the manufacturing sector, in fact, you've broken it down. 1.3 million jobs annually. The only thing we've seen are wheelbarrows, ndudis, and mkokotenis. Improved healthcare, 0. Lowering the cost of living, non-existent. Affordable housing, your government has actively kicked people out of their homes. So as you're here campaigning and asking us to vote for you simply because you're the son of a nobody, calling yourself a hustler, where are the deliverables that you want us to judge you from? To my fellow Kenyans, there are only 2 tribes in this country, the rich and the poor. It's either we ni Sonko ama wewe ni Safara. And your hustler ni Sonko, si Safara.
All right. Wanatakol, Karori.
I think 3 quick things to mention.
Yes, your remarks as you also give you.
Yes, the first one is as regards to the 15%. I think if you were to take time and read the Constitution, it sets the floor, not the ceiling. When I tell you, Gerald, you can take minimum of 15 bananas in this room, it means you can carry the whole bunch and walk away with it. That is what Meshack should know. It does not mean 15 is your maximum. 2, we need, when discussing economics, I discuss what we call economic realities. 35%, whereas it is a good thing, all of us want it. Meshack, by the way. But the realities of our money cannot support it now. So let us not make it a requirement in the Constitution. Let us just leave it as is, so that if we get money, we increase gradually. Because it will increase, it can't be the same 316 billion. Why? Because if the last audited amounts are more, the money will increase. The other thing about that thing which I want to warn the marginalized areas, and I think they should go and get a BBI that is translated in their languages. I want them to read page 69. And when they are reading page 69, they should read the amendment to Article 203, amendment number 44. When they understand it well, they sit down committee na waonge. It will affect them more than it will affect some of us. And the people I'm addressing are the people of Tana River, Tharaka Nithi, Nyamira County, those coastal counties. When we say that because of time, just let everybody read Article 44.
Just read it very fast so that
when we say Article 203 of the Constitution is amended in Clause A1 by inserting the following new paragraph immediately after paragraph K. They need to eradicate corrupt practices in public usage. They need to ensure that the attainment of economic social guarantee. They need to ensure the average amount of allocated per person to a county with the highest allocation does not exceed 3 times the average amount per person allocated to a county with the lowest allocation. That is where the devil is in this document. If a marginalized person, mtu alikuwa Team Kenya in the last debate in Senate, they should read and understand what it means by per capita. Currently, the lowest county that gets money per capita is Nairobi County, with 3 shillings. When you say that they need to ensure that the average amount of money allocated per person to a county with the highest allocation does not exceed 3 times the average amount per person allocated to a county with the lowest allocation, that is the danger. If it was 3 shillings per person in Nairobi, if we do with this, it will be 9 shillings per person. What will be 9 shillings per person in a county like Lamu with 144,000 people? What will that be to a county like Tana River? It will mean those counties will get on the maximum 1.8 billion. Look at what they get now. So, people of Elgeyo Marakwet, this is where I'm calling you. Mujite mukutano. This document, don't look at 35%. Let us interpret this document as at our personal interest, at the county level.
Everyone should devolve the document.
Yes. The other thing I want us to look at is why do we have post-election violence in this country? It's because of 2 things, Gerald. Number 1 is our elections are not credible. They are not verifiable. You cannot close your eyes and say Gerald won the election. IBC chairman could not tell us who won the election the last time. Kivuitu did the same. At some point, the Chebukati could not. The other thing, number 2, is on the issue of land. People fight in this country because of land. When we come here and discuss a BBI report, which does not address itself to the issue of land, we sit down and ask ourselves questions. Are we being honest as a country? Are we having a honest conversation? People currently are battling in Marishoni, Mau, those places. They are not fighting because we do not have a prime minister. They are not fighting because Nakuru, their male senator, is not in place. No, they are fighting because of land. But again, I understand one of the people who shook hands is the landlord of the country. So, you do not discuss the landlord interest. The other thing, we are focused so much in IBC, which is the right thing. But the problem is here. We are focused so much on the commission. IBC is not the commission. IBC is the processes. Let us put our energies in making sure that the processes at IBC work, not the people. We will always lose faith in individuals. It happens. But we can never lose faith with the processes. Let us make sure that if somebody does something in IBC, if we are going digital, let it be a digital that it is clear. If you vote in your village, you can see where your vote has gone. I think
you can follow your vote to Nairobi.
Yes, that is all we need to do as a people. The other thing, as I conclude or as I give my tackle, is this. When we sit in some of these spaces and give our views, we are not saying Kenyans should oppose BBI. And it is not in our interest. Any country that is talking is a country that is moving forward. That is the discussion. But we sit here to tell the people who have the means on this document that let us the discussion continue. The discussion of good governance should not be an end in itself. It should be a means to an end. All Kenyans should not at any time be railroaded or gaslighted to think that BBI is a panacea of their problems. Kenyans' problems will be here. Kama utaenda shamba ulime, shida zitakuandama. We can launch 100 BBIs. We can launch 1,000,000 ones. Even MCAs can shake hands. But if you do not do your part, you will never go anywhere. And in terms, as I finish, of the issue of leadership in this country, we need a document that speaks to itself. One of the things that, and may God rest his soul in peace, Nzamba Kitonga left us with, he left us with a constitution that is both vertically and horizontally equal. Each article in this constitution is equal to the other. When you read what the BBI is trying to do, there will not be equality of articles of the constitution. Because when you say today we are telling women at the county level, the constitutional requirement will be a man and a woman for the ticket of governor. At the national level, we have not created that requirement. Are we saying women can only lead at the county level? And even that prime minister we are trying to introduce, why don't we have a mandatory that if the prime minister is a man, the 2 deputies must be female. If the president is a man, the running mate must be female. That way we will move forward as a nation. And if we are saying we are killing or we are trying to solve the mundane and the oxymoron that is winner take it all, how are we going to solve the winner take it all in the MCA race? Because there will be MCA candidates who the winner will have beaten the loser with 60 votes or even 10 votes. Will he just go home, or we will have a requirement that the MCA will employ him as the PA? How are we going to have governance? We must have a governance and a leadership structure that is clear, concise. The other, my parting shot, if today we were to go to an election with this document, how will we do the election? Are we voting for delegations in terms of getting the seats in the parliament? Are we voting for a party list? Those are some of the things that we have not been told. And as we illuminate into the discussion, I would like us to go deep into those issues. There are issues that need our critical understanding. There are issues that needs to be reflected upon before we just railroad Kenyans into supporting or against BBI. I am as a person of the opinion that kila Mkenya ajisome ndiye aamue ni nini anataka.
Apewe hiki kitu.
Asiambiwe na mwanasiasa. Politicians will only look at the part that talks about the executive. They will never take you to where we are amending Article 2 or 3 and what it says. But tomorrow when the things hit the fan, they'll be they'll look as confused as we are. Thank you.
All right, what's your tackle of the day? You've already given your tackle of the day.
My tackle of the day is this. When you see hyenas very happy, the owner of the ship must be very worried. Today our politicians are happy about the BBI. Wenye mbuzi wajipange.
Wenye kondo wajipange. There's a question I want to ask you guys, a gentleman and a lady, and very quickly, and I want one very, very straightforward and very simple answers. The issue you've heard has been a discussion of inclusivity. That is the argument that has been treaded for the longest time on BBI. Now let's look at the structure of the executive as proposed by BBI. The president comes from the majority, the winner of the elections. The prime minister comes also from the majority, means the winner of that election. The deputy PMs as well are appointed through the same course. The only position that will be given to those who lose is the official opposition position of opposition in parliament. I would want to argue that if you're talking about inclusivity, we could say the president comes from the winning, the prime minister comes from the losers, so we have everyone in government. In short, we're still having a repeat of the same thing. The only thing is that we've now given the loser an office. Do you guys think the document is inclusive in its own way, the proposal? I'll start with you, Lucia, as I go to Nani, then I close with Karori. Very quickly.
I don't think the BBI report is inclusive. Starting from the way the task force was put together, first and foremost, the composition of the task force itself, persons living with disability and young
Let's talk about the structure. Let's talk about the executive structure proposed.
Yeah. Now, coming to the structure that is being proposed, it does not make sense to me that we are trying to be inclusive, yet we are giving one person with the power, more power to just keep deciding who else to put in power. That does not sound like inclusivity to me at all. So we shouldn't expect it because it's not actually there. It's just the way Karori said, the devil is in the details. So if we look at the details, then we really realize that it's not inclusivity at all, because then who are we including? They say that winner takes it all is the problem. So now if winner takes it all, winner has a loser loses, but loser has a running mate also. What happens to loser's running mate? Because now the office that's being created is for the loser only. So running mate wa loser anaenda wapi? And you see the way Gerald has said would have made sense. Because now if president may win, then the first runner-up prime minister, then a deputy comes from the second runner-up and the third runner-up. You see, those would maybe be different political parties, probably, yeah? And it would make much more sense. But then, ati winner takes it all, alafu bado winner ndio ana take prime minister, deputy prime ministers, and all these other things that they're expanding. It's not inclusive at all.
Meshack, as a proponent of BBI, do you think it's inclusive? The president goes with the presidency, goes with the prime minister positions, goes with deputy PMs. Where is the position of the losers in BBI?
We are not trying to stop democracy from being at play. Somebody still must lose. So I don't think the document is trying to tell Kenyans that no one is going to lose. The document is trying to tell Kenyans that once somebody wins, that win cannot remain in two tribes like we have seen in 2013 to 2017. That win must be spread to other parts of the country.
All right. So you feel it will be inclusive? What if the president decides
Not
as well
completely, but better than what we have.
All right. Karori, the proposed structure, executive structure.
No.
We've been argued about inclusivity. I'm not, but totally I can say it because it's the same thing. The president can decide to choose a prime minister from central Kenya. It's not conditioned.
Yeah.
Do you feel it's fixing the problem of inclusivity?
Actually, what we are doing, Gerald, there is a term that is normally used in Friday evenings. We say marinate. What is happening? Kenyans are being marinated here. There is nothing.
Very quickly,
Marinate for Mlambes.
They are being marinated. So, because look at it this way. The current constitution, I'll call it the Nzamba Kitonga constitution. It says that you have to form a government that is inclusive. And when you read the articles of this constitution together, they communicate. So that is why our cabinet has members from all over. But when you read this document, even the guarantee that all the 5 big boys will not be men has not been done. We have only lived it at the county level. If we cannot guarantee gender equality, we cannot guarantee equality, inclusivity. The other thing is this, Gerald. A society develops or moves forward depending in how the least people are carried on. Are we having a document that will leave the marginalized, people with disability, all those groups? Where will they go? This document does not address them. That's why I'm telling you, we are trying to recreate a nation that doesn't exist on earth. We need to be real to each other.
All right.
So, in this one, you cannot talk about inclusivity.
So there's no inclusivity.
Because this document talks about the first 5 tribes. If the president comes from the biggest tribe, the deputy from the second tribe, the prime minister from the third tribe, the 4th and the 5th will share the deputy prime ministers. Maybe one person from the biggest tribe will get a speaker of the National Assembly, and then another man who was a lyrical psychophone in one of the president's court gets the speaker of Senate.
That's
All right, Karori.
so, not what is in the document.
No, let me ask, where is the guarantee?
Karori, it was just a comment. We're opening another discussion altogether.
These are legislation
Meshack, there is
proposals.
something in law.
After the show, let's read it.
There is
Alright,
something
after the show, let's read it.
Meshack, in Gerald, we call the legal safeguards. In this constitution, there are safeguards against to make sure that inclusion happens.
Okay.
There are safeguards for people with the disability, marginalized group. When you read Article 61, you see the safeguards. When you read this document and read it together with this as an infused document, you don't see the safeguards. We have weakened those institutions.
Okay, thank you, Karori. Asante, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you for this discussion. For the third class who have been having us, wamesema muna marinetiwa. Marinate. Sasa mtatonga pale mbele. Asante sana, thank you so much for joining us. I wish I could read the comments ambazo zimeanza kuja kwa sababu ya wakati. We read 30 minutes past time. Thank you so much for joining in. It's always a pleasure to have you. This is the tackle, and the tackle ends now. See you tomorrow. We love you. Bye-bye. Take care.